Wait lang guys, I'm just sending congratulations to some of our folks now. Ayun na guys. Kamusta naman kayo dyan? Sabi ko, ito na naman, singit natin bago magsimula na may mga meetings and talks natin dito. On the move na naman tayo as usual. Dito naman tayo sa more official part of the equation. So we're hoping to have interesting discussion with academics, folks from the Foreign Ministry, from Defense Ministry, mga others dito para pag-usapan natin yung bilateral relationships natin. So napakaganda naman pala ng um, Ottawa. I always thought na it's gonna be something similar to Canberra in Australia, pero mas ano pa pala siya, mas bongga pa pala siya, mas may mga historic buildings talagang parang ala London ang vibes pala dito. So kahapon we had a couple of interesting conversations, and then also dumaan tayo dun sa Japanese ambassador's residence for a certain event. Anyway, as you know guys, habang on the move tayo, we're keeping really in touch with developments back home. I just sent the congratulations to Justice Carpio, who has now been officially nominated dito sa Independent Commission for Infrastructure, ICI. So dalawa yung membro at isa yung chair. So officially, the president has created itong independent super body na yan. And the task is pwede siya mag-imbestiga not only yung mga issue ng mga korupsyon at saka yung mga anomalya ukol dito sa mga flood control projects, but actually lahat ng mga infrastructure projects. Kasi katulad ng sinabi ni Mayor Vico, tip of the iceberg lang potentially itong flood control na yan. So for instance, dun sa mga kadiskaya natin, mga die-hard Diskaya supporters, mga Diskaya die-hard supporters, mga kadiskaya natin. So doon sabihin natin sa 100 billion projects na nakuha nila within few years, a quarter of that at most was flood control. So marami pa mga ibang proyekto na dapat natin titignan. So it is very possible that we're unfortunately just looking at the tip of the iceberg, or actually the underground, less seen part ng itong nakakatakot na corruption na nakita natin. Of course, the flood control one was easy for corruption because yun nga, because of its very topography, its very nature, diba? Um, um, Although, if there's proper audit naman, pwede naman lahat i-check yan, whether on the ground, in the space, or whatever. But for some confluence of factors, flood control was the easiest one to mambo jumbo for dito sa mga kamusta na mga kadiskaya natin dyan, puya ka siya. But here, this independent commission formed under Executive Order number 94. No, it's going to look at all sorts of infrastructure projects. So we're looking at not only billions of pesos here, we're looking at billions of dollars, if not more than $10 billion of projects, if not tens of billions of dollars for projects. So uh, the task is really tall. Now, as of now, it looks like at least, diba, ito na yung mga kadiskaya, Justice Carpio and also former Associate Justice and Acting Chief Justice Bernabé Perlas are gonna be part of this super committee. So far, walang DDS. At wala rin loyalist or mga questionable characters. So these are people above and beyond reproach, right? I'm sure marami tayong mga kadiskaya na hindi natutuwa sa mga sinasabi ni Justice Carpet throughout the years dahil syempre ayaw nila ng katotohanan, ayaw rin nila yung mga pro-Philippines, pro-West Philippines na sinasabi ni Justice Carpio. Sorry na lang sa inyo, the problem is with you, right? Not with Justice Carpio, but this is our understanding that we have at least two former Supreme Court senior associate justices, including an acting Chief Justice and a TOTCA Chief Justice, dito sa super body ad hoc fact-finding mission na tinitignan natin ngayon. So According dito sa executive order na yan, the members will be persons of, quote, proven competence, integrity, probity, and independence. So, very important na hindi attached to any kind of um, political party, etc. And again, as far as Justice Carpio is concerned, whatever political activity has done has been always in the name of preserving the Philippine constitutional democracy and preserving yung territorial integrity ng Pilipinas. So that's very, very clear, right? So the executive order under the control and supervision of ICI chair. So I still wonder, sino maging chair? Siya yung pwede mag-execute at administer ng mga policy at decisions of body and manage its day-to-day operation. So, moto proprio niya, ayon sa presidente natin doon sa kanya Executive Order 94, the administration is firmly committed to maintain honesty and integrity in public service and will take decisive measures to repress and hold accountable government officials and employees and any other individual who engage in graft, corrupt practices, or other acts that undermine the national interest and betray the public trust. And remember, ito ay isang recommendatory body. So, the AICI as a recommendatory body acting on complaint or motu proprio by its own. So, hindi niya pa kailangan na may sabi pa sa kanya ganyan, it can act motu proprio by its own in Latin. Here, investigate, receive, gather, and evaluate evidence. Remember yung concept ng motu proprio, pinag-usapan natin when we discussed the ombudsman with Justice Carpio and how important yung role ng ombudsman is. Dito naman, makikita din natin guys dito is actually this body can also work like an ombudsman body, although of course it's a completely different beast, and it's more of a fact-finding mission, but nevertheless pwede siya mag-imbestiga base sa if it hears, receives, or gathers or values evidence, intelligence reports, and information against all government officials and employees and any other individual involved in anomalies, irregularities, and misuse of funds in the planning, financing, and implementation of government flood control and other infrastructure projects. Nevertheless, guys, of course, before we get overexcited, very clear, the body will not only investigate all infrastructure projects implemented during the 3 years of the Marcos administration, but all public works in the past. So this is the important part for me, guys. So not only is the composition important, sino ba itong mga tao na to? Meron ba silang expertise when it comes to matters of fact-finding? So we're talking justices here. Perfect, pasok. In fact, with Justice Perlas Bernabe, she has a background in finance and banking. So she's not only a top legal mind, she also has relevant expertise on that front. Justice Carpio, all of us know him. All of us know that he has been tremendously active on all sorts of different issues. And of course, yung issue ng corruption is very close to his heart because he knows that this chips away at the foundations of our constitutional democracy. No? But the other thing that was always mahalaga para sa atin is sana hindi hanggang etong administration, etong taon, di ba? Kung hindi naman pwede nung nawala lang ng unit team, i-investigate lang natin. What about nung days na may unity? What about nung days, yung mga araw na si Digong presidente? What about yung mga days na si Pinoy ang presidente? Kaya po, natutuwa tayo na meron tayong reports katulad na itong report from the PCIJ, di ba? All the contractors men, di ba? Kung saan pinapakita talaga yung mga major beneficiaries, mga contractors na benefit sa ilalim ng iba't ibang administrasyon, right? So I think it's very, very important, right? It's very, very important that we don't have selective scrutiny. And I told this to other people who have been pushing for good governance. Sabi ko, wag natin sabihin na isang taon, dalawang taon. Yes, exactly. Let's go 10 to 15 years. Parang yung mandato ng ombudsman. So that's very, very important. Para hindi ito mahaluan ng selective scrutiny. So this is the study I was saying na minention natin. Nung magra-Rottweiler si Sir Ronald, ito po yung study ng PCIJ. Lumabas lang ng isang araw. It's very, very important. Very, very important. Because dito guys, makikita nyo yung mga proyekto sa ilalim ng iba't ibang administrasyon. So you can have a idea here of different projects. So dito, booking talaga na yung St. Gerard ni Diskaya ay number 1 na beneficiary ng mga kontrata. First year pa lang. So actually medyo deceptive to may Arroyo administration din. Medyo deceptive siya because ito, 6 years ng Aquino administration. Ito, parang first year pa lang ni Digong. Tingnan niyo, ang laki nung nakuha ng St. Gerard. Right? Mga kadiskaya natin dyan. Kaya talagang, hindi ako surprised na marami rin mga diskaya diehard supporters, di ba? But, nevertheless, the body has to look at all of this different administration. Hindi lang kasalukuyan administration, hindi lang Digong administration. Wala. Tapos mga palusot pa yung mga kadidiyas natin. Hindi na, blacklist naman siya later. Yeah, but after getting all of this big project, first year pa lang. So this is July 26 to December 2017. But also look at the projects during the Aquino administration. Again, this is where Justice Carpio's inclusion makes perfect sense because remember, he was part of that Supreme Court that ruled as unconstitutional yung disbursement acceleration program ni Pinoy. In fact, sa sobrang galit ni Pinoy dun sa decision na yan because he felt it undercut his ability or his executive prerogative to make the most out of the Philippines' fiscal position in terms of allotments, etc. Kasi alam natin, paano ni Pinoy, one of the problems was maraming delays sa mga projects. And at the same time, medyo ipit yung kamay ng administration in terms of pushing for certain projects. But nevertheless, if you look at this PCIJ study, hindi rin 100% let's say, alam niyo na, di ba? So may mga gaps rin even during the Aquino administration na supposedly the most good governance or the sole good governance administration. So, yun ang gusto natin makita dito. So, the ICI, itong Independent Commission, and prioritize the investigation of flood control and other infrastructure within the last 10 years from effectively of this order. This is exactly what I ordered. Sabi ko, at least past 10 years. Para we at least cover the past 3 administrations at the very least, di ba? Kailangan yun. But ito na nga we're still looking for more details, including sino maging chair dito. The EO did not explicitly mention, though, that the investigation shall cover only the projects of Department of Public Works and Highways. So, meron bang kasama dyan yung mga ibang ahensya? Base naman dun sa findings of the ICI probe, it will recommend the filing of appropriate criminal, civil, and administrative cases or actions laban dun sa mga tao na responsible for dito sa mga anomalya na yan. And they can coordinate with the Office of the President, Office of the Ombudsman, Department of Justice, and Civil Service Commission. Nevertheless, itong EO has a sunset provision, meaning may time limit yan, time bound yan, stating that the ICI will be abolished, quote, upon the accomplishment of the purposes for which it was created or unless sooner dissolved by the President. So it's still the prerogative of the President if ever he wants to dissolve it, if he feels or he decides that enough investigation has been done. The ICI also has a range of powers to recommend actions to compel different government agencies to act. It will conduct hearings, take testimony, so mahalaga yan. Ito, magkakaroon siya ng sariling hearing, as well as receive, gather, review, and evaluate evidence, reports, and information on matters within its power to investigate. So isa sa mga powers na is obviously itong subpoena power. The ICI has the power to issue subpoenas for attendance of witnesses and production of documents necessary for its fact-finding mission. So, unlike yung mga hearings na nakita natin ngayon, hindi na involved mga politiko dito. So, involved dito are serious people with serious credentials and people who are not desperate to score political points because they want to be re-elected, they want to be in, so you avoid all of that. Any government official or person who delays or refuses dito sa compliance with subpoenas without adequate cause to comply with the subpoena issued by the ICI or who appearing before the ICI refuses to take oath or affirmation shall be subject to administrative disciplinary action without prejudice to any criminal liability. No? In fact, at the ICI also, meron din siyang power when it comes to assets, seizures, and HDOs. So it's also authorized to recommend or request appropriate authorities or the proper courts, no? The issuance of a whole departure order. So kung sakali gustong tumakas ng bansa, ala ni Gua Huaping, or other remedies to monitor yung prohibited travel abroad or to compel yung return from abroad of any public official, employer, or any other individual under probe by the Independent Commission. It may also recommend or request, ito mahalaga yan, sa AMLA, Anti-Money Laundering Council natin or other authorities, the freezing or seizure of assets, fund deposits, and properties reasonably believed to be connected to anomalies involved dito sa flood control project. So, pasensya na mga kadiskaya, baka mamaya, di ba? Ito, the ICI also has the authority to recommend the appropriate authorities to implement itong immediate preventive suspension of any public official or employees, preventive suspension that may find necessary to prevent tampering with evidence or influencing the evidences. So alam natin yan mga ka-Red Ribboners, mahalaga din. The President also ordered DOJ, including National Bureau of Investigation and National Prosecution Service, as well as DPWH, DILG, among others, to extend full assistance and cooperation dito sa ICI. According to the executive order na yan, failure or refusal to extend such assistance or cooperation for no valid or justifiable reason or adequate reason shall constitute a ground for disciplinary action against a concerned official or person subject to existing laws, rules, and regulations. Okay, guys, I have to go. I'm glad that at least we covered this base because it's very important. We'll get to know more, hopefully, about this in the coming days and weeks. I just messaged Justice Carpio if we could also get him and get the interview proper with him to explain ano mandato nito. But obviously, I can understand that he's now gonna go meticulously through everything. Balikan natin ito, but there's a reason why yung ating Rottweiler, si Sir Ronald was a bit excited about itong body na yan and its membership. And I can see why. Although I'm still waiting sino maging chair nito, and so far it looks like we have 2 members. So let's see how interesting this is gonna get. But so far, so good, guys, especially if you back this up with the new Blue Ribbon Committee folks in the Senate. And then, of course, hopefully we also get the right ombudsman in the coming days para magsama-sama sila so that we can move in the right direction. This is extremely, extremely important. On that note, thank you very much, guys. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas, mabuhay si Justice Carpio at lahat ng mga tumutulong sa ating bansa to have more accountability and to preserve our constitutional democracy. God bless and talk to you soon.